You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, sponsored by Essentia Health.
It only takes one step, twist, or crunch to know something doesn't feel right. Essentia Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team gets you back to doing what you love with commitment, resilience, intention. We're here to keep you moving forward. Visit essentiahealth.org to learn more about orthopedics and sports medicine, like nowhere else.
Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat writer at the Duluth News Tribune and the Rink Live.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the voice of UMD hockey on My9 Sports.
2 weeks ago on this podcast, ahead of Movember, a movement dedicated to raising funds and awareness for men's physical and mental health issues, we had Bulldogs sophomore defenseman and cancer survivor Will Francis on. This week on the podcast, with Movember now in full swing and mustaches coming out for all the guys, we have another cancer survivor joining us. He's a junior goaltender for the Bulldogs from Cohasset. Welcome to the podcast, Zach Stejskal.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Zach. Goaltenders from Cohasset, long tradition on the Bulldogs and on this podcast. We're 2 weeks into Movember now. Give us a mustache update. Who's got the best stash on the team?
We got a couple guys with some nice mustaches. Luke Lowhite, obviously, he's in the running right now for the best one on the team, and then Luke Millimak as well. So
now a couple guys got head starts on the month here. Who's a dark horse that you think by the end of the month could maybe challenge both of those guys?
That's funny. I think Jesse Jocks, he's kind of a workhorse in the mustache department. So I think at the end of the month he might be able to, take it all home.
Everyone you named is on the older side. Jesse's a fifth-year guy. Luke's a senior. Luke Milmock is an older guy. But are there freshmen that are good at this, some of the younger guys?
All the freshmen we have on our team right now are like 18 years old, so I don't even know if they have facial hair yet.
It's kind of not a fair fight for those guys.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, this isn't like the past couple years where you had some older freshmen coming in that could grow some facial hair. Though Jesse Pierce, freshman, he's been growing facial hair since like sophomore, junior year of high school. He's probably a younger guy that can contend in this month, right?
Yeah. I think he's possibly up there. He usually keeps it pretty clean cut. I haven't really seen much of a mustache on him lately. So,
how would you evaluate your effort here right now?
It's trying. It's a work in progress, but nothing special, that's for sure.
They just if you go on Twitter, we're recording this on Tuesday. You're going to hear this on Thursday. If you go back to Tuesday on Twitter, UMD, they posted a video asking who had the best one. Again, most of the votes were for Lowhite and Millimak, but you got a vote. I think you got at least one vote in there.
I think somebody felt bad for my mustache, so they just had to put that in there.
Which of the coaches would grow the best mustache? I don't think any of them will. I don't know Cody Chupp all that well yet, but Adam and Scott, I can't see making a play at the mustache.
Yeah, I think Coach Sandlin runs a tight ship because you never really see any of our coaches with mustache or facial hair. Krause is kind of a guy that's he looks like he has a baby face still, so I don't know if he can grow facial hair yet. But Chupper, I think Chupper could eventually grow something.
I don't see Adam Krause with a mustache.
I don't think I've ever seen Krause with any facial hair. No photos that we have even going back to high school. I didn't cover him in high school. Zach, you saw him in
Adam's made a career. He's the clean-cut All-American guy. He was in high school and when he played, and now as a coach. I don't think you'll ever see him with facial hair.
No facial hair? All right. We'll have to...
We'll challenge him next time he's on the podcast.
Sure,
Krause,
definitely.
we're challenging you if you're listening to the podcast right now to get some facial hair going. Zach, it's been over a year since your cancer diagnosis. You got to ring the bell last December, defeating cancer. Movember, all of this. How has this changed you? That whole experience of going through battling and defeating cancer and having the team really again rallying to this cause, especially after your diagnosis?
Yeah. I think it's changed me for the better, honestly. I think mentally I've kind of grown stronger. The team really helped me through that. Obviously, friends and family did too. But now that Movember's kicking off again, I'm extremely excited to start that page and, have people donate money for men's health.
Do you feel a bit of a responsibility after as a cancer survivor to take part in Movember and kind of carry this on? And have people like reached out to you and shared some of their experiences? I know when we talked to Will, he talked about a young hockey player from Cloquet that he's connected with that was going through, the same battle that he has. Have you found people reaching out to you now as inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when I was going through it last year, I had a bunch of letters coming in the mail. People telling me about their story and how to get through it. I'm getting some of that this year as well, but I do definitely feel an obligation to, start that Movember page just because, it touches home for me. So the more money we can raise and, fight this thing, it's not just testicular cancer, but it's, men's health, prostate cancer, all sorts of illnesses and diseases that affect people, especially men, in November.
I think you and Will have both been really good ambassadors for that community and people, not just hockey players, but younger people that are struggling through that. But I asked him the same question when he was on. Do you ever wish that, and I think you got back really quickly because you came back and you played really well in your return against Denver. You've played well so far this season at times. And you ever wish that it was Zach Stejskal, the hockey player, or Zach Stejskal, the college student, and not the cancer survivor? Do you ever wish that wasn't part of the reason that people know you or know your story?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. My first year coming into college, we kind of had to deal with COVID. So that was already kind of a unique situation, battling a pandemic coming in as a freshman. And then my sophomore year, I get diagnosed with cancer. So I haven't had a normal college life yet. This year is probably my first year doing that. But no, I think, now that I'm healthy and looking back on it, I think what happened really, I gained a new perspective on life and all sorts of things like that. So I'm not mad about what happened or wish it didn't happen because it's something that I went through and I think I'm stronger because of it.
Yeah, and I think with Will too, when Will came back and made his debut last year, when you came back after your absence, it was kind of all about that. That's what people were talking about, is the return to the ice. But now that you guys have played some games and put some distance behind you, it feels like it will always be part of you, but maybe not the focus that it was last season. Yeah,
obviously, yeah. I'm kind of, past that for sure now. Last year it was pretty much the entire season I was going through it, so that was kind of at the top of my head. Especially when I came back, it was just kind of getting back to normal, getting back to being healthy. But this year I'm, solely focused on school and hockey. So.
Zach, I like that you brought up that Movember isn't just about like testicular cancer, and I feel like I've actually seen the entire Movember campaign grow in general. We saw Ben Pat's been doing this for years now, and the Bulldog program it's cool that I remember Movember when it first started, it was prostate cancer was the big thing, and then adding kind of testicular cancer there, and now it focuses on the mental health side of things as well. I mean, this is, I think, because you personally went through testicular cancer, the focus for Movember, turns to you. But I mean, Movember isn't just about, one or two diseases. It's a wide range of men's mental health issues. And men, we have a long history of kind of ignoring our health issues. And hockey as a sport has a long history of, well, we're just going to play through whatever health issues come our way. I mean, this movement, what's cool about it is it's more than just one or two things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about, I think, mental health is, something that's not really talked about in our sport, and especially in sports in general, and in men in general, actually. So, I think that side of Movember is especially important just because I think that's a battle that everybody has at one point or another.
How do you strike that balance? When you announced your diagnosis last fall, one of the things you said at the end was, I will be back on the ice this season. And you obviously knew best what you were dealing with and what was ahead of you. And obviously that happened, and you came back and helped the team once you were back later in the season. But balancing the, I want to be back on the ice, to, I just need to get myself healthy again. I need to take care of myself. Obviously, everyone on this team is a competitive guy and wants to be back on the ice and wants to be doing the thing they love. But how did you balance that between maybe trying to make sure you were there for yourself to really wanting to be back and between the pipes for the Dogs?
Yeah, I think I set that goal just because it gave me something to work for. And obviously the medical professionals that, in my case specifically, they were very confident that I would be back in, 6 months or 7 months or whatever it was. So setting that goal really helped me kind of get through what I was going through at that time. and it helped me on the way back for sure.
Zach, we talked, I think we asked Will Francis this last week, when did he get back to kind of feeling like himself? Not just physically, but mentally. Because anytime you get, when cancer gets thrown at you from a doctor, I feel like it's going to impact your mental health as much as your physical health. It's a big word. For you, when did you feel like you got back to being Zach Stejskal again?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it took me until at least the summer to. I think physically I was back in late February, March. But mentally, I don't think I was back until June or July, just because the mental aspect of it is definitely difficult to deal with.
You're at the Buffalo Sabres development camp this year, which is crazy because you didn't play much last year. And even your freshman year, I was going back and looking at 9 games. For you, what was that experience? First, what was it like to get that invite from the Sabres, and how much of a confidence boost? And I mean, how that had to feel pretty good after everything you'd been through. Like you said, your first 2 years of college hockey were by no means normal. What did that mean to get that invite, and what was that experience like with the Sabres?
Yeah, no, I'm super grateful that they kind of invited me out there just to see what a development camp would be like. And, I think I took that opportunity and kind of made the most of it. But obviously super cool and, kind of a unique experience for me, being my first time doing that. So
I think at times like this, I don't want it to be overlooked how close-knit a group this seems like from the outside looking in when things are going good, and things are, we aren't talking about cancer diagnosis or anything like that, but when you see a team rally around you the way that they did last year during Movember and during the rest of that season, and I don't think I've seen for a program that's had a lot of postseason success, I don't think I've seen a regular season win celebrated quite as big as your return out in Denver. But to have the support at a really tough time of the guys in the locker room, how did that help through last season and maybe even into this season as you get back to full strength?
Yeah, I mean, our team helped me through the entire way, right? When I was going through my treatments and after my surgery, I would be at the rink, kind of periodically throughout the week. But like I said earlier, like, the support of the team and just going to the locker room and just hanging out with those guys, kind of just mentally, it helped me a lot, just kind of focus on something else, right? So, it was not only my team, but the hockey community in general. Like, I think I got a lot of support online through Twitter and, mail from community members in Duluth. So, yeah, it helped me definitely battle cancer.
Actual snail mail, traditional mail, letters coming in for you?
Yeah. Snail mail, yeah. I don't get much of that often, but it was fun to see.
Coming into this season now, entirely new goalie room for you. We talked about, Zach and I talked with you a little bit about this at the beginning of the year. Entirely new goalie room for you. What's that been like, working with Matthew Thiessen, a transfer from Maine, and then Zach Sandy, a freshman out of Fargo? I mean, for the first half of your career, it's you, Patter, Fanti, and Brandt, Nicklin in there. This had to be a new experience as well for you to start the season.
Certainly a lot different than what I've had in the past. Obviously, Ben, Pat, and Ren, were here when I was a freshman. They kind of groomed me to who I am today. Especially on the ice and my work habits and all that, just what it means to be a college hockey player. Those guys really helped me. And I kind of try to take that, and, Thies has been around the block. He's a senior this year, so he knows what to do in practice and whatnot, what to do on the road. It's kind of funny that you don't really talk about, like, all the things what it means to be a college hockey player, right? Like, traveling habits, taking your hat off for meals and whatnot. But no, it's been fun. I think me and Zach Sandy have a really good relationship. Him being a freshman, I think me and Thies kind of are good mentors for him, and teaching him the ropes.
How do you handle the name thing with the goalies? This kind of goes back to the Hunter era, right? When there was Hunter Miska and Hunter Shepard. We got 2 Zachs. You can't just go Sandy for Zach Sandy because that would be your coach's nickname. What are the nicknames in the goalie room right now?
Yeah. So Zach Sandy, the goalie, is JR. We don't want to call him Sandy because obviously Scott Sandlin. And then Zach and Zach, myself, I'm Stezzy. So okay. I don't know how that even started, but I'm Stezzy. And so, everybody's got a nickname. I feel like that's such a hockey thing to do, is everybody's just like called something different.
Why JR for Zach Sandy?
Junior.
Junior?
Sandy Junior.
Sandy Jr.
Yep.
Does Scott approve of that nickname?
I honestly, I haven't heard from Scott, but I'm sure he does.
We'll see. Did Stezzy start at UMD?
Stezzy, oh geez, I want to say it started like my last year of juniors, and I don't know how, but when I came into college, like I was already being called that, so I don't really know.
Guys just didn't want to say your full last name, maybe, so
Yeah.
you got to shorten it up.
I think that's probably what it is for sure.
How's it been like for you? Kind of touched on it a little bit. What's it been like for you to be the veteran, at least the veteran Bulldog on this group, the guy that's worked with Brandt and everything, and been part of this Bulldog tradition the longest now in that goalie room? What kind of responsibility do you see serving in that role?
Yeah, I think not only just in our goalie group, but I feel like I'm a leader on the team, right? Like we have so many new guys coming in, and just trying to teach those guys what it means to be a Bulldog. And I've had some experience with guys who have played in national championship games. Obviously, our captain, but in years past, we'd have had in my sophomore and freshman year, how many national champions did
Almost
we have
half
on
the team, yeah.
Exactly. So, what they taught me, I'm trying to, kind of pass that torch and teach the younger generation for sure.
You and Ryan Fanti had a unique relationship because you were part of two games really that kind of underscored that a team might need two goaltenders to be on top of their games. Obviously, the 5 overtime game at North Dakota, and I think the game that you came in and won at Denver when he wasn't feeling well after being just back from battling cancer qualifies as something that's pretty special as well. But to be part of games like that or seasons like that where you needed you and Ryan Fanti to play really well at different times and needed to rely on each other, and even though he maybe played more games total, there were still big spots that you stepped into in your first couple of years. How did that translate into this year now when you're still battling for ice time? Because I know all three of you guys want to be the guy on Friday and Saturday nights, but does that translate into the conversation now for you, knowing that there's going to be times where maybe you need Matt Thiessen to step in and win a game for you? Yeah,
absolutely. I think, our position is extremely difficult, as you guys know, right? So I think whoever can get the job done really is who you want in net. And, whether that's me or JR, Sandy Jr., or Thiessen, right? So I think, as a goalie, you kind of have this mindset. It's like, it's not just about you. It's not about you individually. It's about the team, how the team's doing overall. So whoever can get that job done is who you're going to cheer for. Obviously, you want to be that guy, but some nights it's not going to be that way.
I'm sure that you guys have lots of conversations when you get here and maybe even before, when you play in Grand Rapids or, a higher junior team or something like that about ignoring the outside noise and comments and chatter throughout a season and ignoring people like me and Matt, especially as a goalie, because what you just said, a lot of hockey fans wouldn't view it like that. Like the goalie is one of the most important positions and is kind of a, something that should be talked about, where you guys view yourselves more as just part of the team, right? And go out there and do your job, and whoever can do it the best is who's going to play. Is it more difficult, less difficult, not different at all than the rest of the team to kind of ignore it when you play your position?
Well, I think our position's kind of under the spotlight more. Obviously, if you have a bad game or whatever, bad few games, then people will know, right? Because you're going to be losing games. Rather than like, I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus, but like a forward or a D, if they have a bad game, it's like whatever. A normal fan who doesn't really know hockey is going to be like, oh, whatever. But the goalie, he's always the one giving up games. But no, it's difficult for sure. But I think that's just a part of being a team, right? Everybody's got to be accountable for what they do, and it's the job I chose. So I just got to do what I got to do.
You mentioned that spotlight and how unique being a goalie is. You went through one of those unique situations on Friday night in the game at Colorado College. Goalie's the only position where if the team's struggling or you're having a rough night, that you get yanked from the game and they announce that you've been yanked from the game. Like you said, it doesn't happen to a forward or a defenseman. If a forward or a defenseman gets benched, it may take us a few, even Zach and I and Bruce Siski, who are intently focused on the game, it may take us a couple shifts to notice, hey, so-and-so all of a sudden isn't on this line, or so-and-so hasn't been on this shift. And then your thought initially actually is, oh, maybe they're injured. No, they're still on the bench and everything. But a goalie, when you're having a rough night, and sometimes it's not even when you're having a rough night, it's when your teammates are having a rough night, they announce in the arena that you're being pulled out of the game. Like Friday, when everyone on the team was not having a great night. How do you mentally handle those situations as a goaltender? How do you handle that pressure?
Right. I think that's something you kind of develop through the years of just playing goalie, right? Like it's a weird position, right? But no, it's not the first time it's happened to me. It's not the first time it's happened to, anybody that plays goalie, it's going to happen to you. So I think you just kind of have to have a short memory and just kind of be, whatever for a goalie, just because if you let that kind of take over you, then you're not going to go very far.
I'm trying to think, Zach, in sports, another position where they announce like now out of the game and, now in the game. Maybe at quarterback in football, they'll announce a new quarterback out on the field. But
yeah, quarterback, pitcher in baseball.
Pitcher in baseball.
Anybody that has, so much impact on the game. And like you say, your impact is either really, really good most nights or can be really bad some nights.
Yeah.
But at what point do you really develop that resiliency? Does it depend on the guy? Because, for lack of a better word, goalies have to be somewhat arrogant from shot to shot, from game to game, season to season, to, no matter what happened on Friday night, when you go back in there, whether it's this weekend, next weekend, later in the year, you have to have the same confidence level that you're going to play well and you're going to put the team in a position to win. So at what point do you develop that? Was it really early on? Was it later in your career? What point did you really kind of develop that resiliency?
I think it's something that all goalies kind of not struggle with, but I don't think you really ever develop like a way to like kind of move on through things, if that makes any sense. I think it's something that you kind of you definitely. That's a tough question to ask, because sometimes you like feel like if you're playing good, like you know that you're going to be playing every night and you're not going to get pulled. But if you're playing bad, then it's tough. It's tough. Like, I guess I don't really have a good answer for that question, because it is tough, like day to day. You just kind of have to just forget about it. Like, as simple as that is, like you can't think about either if it's a good game or a bad game. You just kind of have to stay even keel the whole time.
Yeah, we don't want to make you dwell on it,
but
it's so intriguing to me, the position, and I've asked this of all the goaltenders that have come on the podcast, because it's such an intriguing concept to me. And then, we talk with Scott Sandlin, and some games he'll say for the entire team, he uses the term flush it, right? And just forget about it.
Yeah.
That's not who we want to be. That's not the way we want to play. And then you still want to take learning points from that game. So Is a game like Friday against Colorado College kind of a flush it game for you? Or is it a game that says, okay, here's 2 or 3 points that I want to be better at moving forward, a learning game?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, right? So obviously you got to take what you can from the game, but it's also a game where you have to flush it, else you're not going to be sitting too well mentally the rest of the year. So
last thing I want to touch on with you, Zach, before we take a little break here, is you can't talk about goaltending at UMD without mentioning the job that Brant Nicklin has done with all of you guys over the years. I'm curious, there's kind of been a bit of a continuity, but I think over the past 7-8 years here now of not almost 9 years, I guess, of Bulldog goaltending, going back to Kazimir Kaskasuo, the seasons he had. How has Brant's coaching style changed as the goalie group has changed this year? Are things a little different in those goalie practices than maybe they were in previous years, or does he just kind of keep doing what he's doing?
I think since I've been here, I think he's just keeps doing what he's doing. Obviously, it's been effective up until this point. So, no, what I really appreciate about Brand is that he lets you play the style that you want to play. He doesn't really try to change anything too drastic. And I've had goalie coaches in the past in juniors where it's like they try to change everything, and you kind of get in your head like, oh, should I be changing this, changing that? And you kind of forget what it's like to just be a goalie. Just go out there and save the puck, right? And that's why I really like Brand. He lets you do that.
So the NCAA is looking to allow, I believe in January, it's been recommended and it could get approved, college hockey teams to expand coaching staffs from 3 full-time coaches to 5. Right now, Brant and a lot of goalie coaches are volunteer coaches. Sometimes you have teams that one of their full-time assistants is a former goaltender. When I was talking to Thiessen on Saturday, he had mentioned that their goalie coach at Maine was one of the assistants. For you, what would it mean to have like Brant full-time on staff? Or maybe it's not Brant. What would it mean to have, for goalies, to have full-time goaltending coaches at the college level? Like, what could that do for players like you?
Right. I think it's kind of wild that it hasn't happened already. But with Brant being a volunteer coach for us, he is there as much as a coach would be, right? But no, if we got a full-time goalie coach, obviously the only thing it would do is help us, right? So I think that it's kind of moving in that direction the last 5 or 10 years in goaltending. I think teams are seeing that, hey, this is the most important position. Like, we need a goalie coach, right? So
how hard is it, do you think, for Brant to coach to different styles? Because when the other coaches bring players in, so they bring in really high-end players like a Scott Perunovich or an Isaac Howard, Blake Biondi, Dominic James, guys that can change games with the way that they play, but they take that talent and they move it within the system that we've become so accustomed to watching within UMD structure. And Scott, as most people listening probably know, is pretty unflinching. If you're going to be here, you're going to do things in his system, and then you get the freedom to kind of do things your own way as long as you're doing his things first.
Right.
For goalies, it's kind of, you don't really have a system because all of the successful goalies that we've talked about in this run, this line of goalies under Brant Nicklin, all have their own defined style. Some of them are really athletic, some of them are really quiet and positional. You're maybe a hybrid of both, but how difficult is that, do you think, for Brant to just allow you to be you, and then when Matt or JR is in there the next night, to allow them to be them?
Right. Yeah, I think as a goalie coach, you have to kind of identify how that goalie plays and just kind of let him play that way. Any good goalie coach anyway. And I think, what I said earlier, like, Brant lets us do that. He doesn't try to change too much. Obviously, there's some tweaks here and there, but the overall position and how you play, like, you got to this point because you're playing like that. So I think we're kind of too late in our career to change that, right? So no, he does a good job of just letting us kind of not do what we want, but play our game.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Zach Stejskal. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
Hey there, my name is Wyatt Buckner, and I'm the host of the Duluth News Tribune Minute Podcast. Hear the most important news of the day, including weather and sports from Duluth, Minnesota, and from around the Northland. Join me and my fellow reporters as we take you through the local news you need to start your day. Episodes are released Monday through Friday and are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Hi, I'm Maria Lockwood, a reporter with the Superior Telegram. Explore Superior and Douglas County history with me on Archive Dive, a monthly podcast available at superiortelegram.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They're proud to be the team physicians for the UMD Bulldogs and provide sports medicine care to more than 25,000 student athletes in the community to ensure they can compete at the highest level while protecting their long-term health and athletic futures. Thanks to Essentia Health for their sponsorship of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. I'm Matt Wellens, joined by my co-host Zach Schneider and our guest Zach Stejskal. Some quick hitters to close out this week's episode. Zach, if you had to share the deer stand or duck blind, I threw duck blind in there as an honor to Hunter Shepard, who was the big duck hunter out here. But if you could share this deer stand or duck blind with any teammate for an entire day, who would you pick?
I think I'm picking Jesse Jocks. The reason is that, anytime you're hunting, it might get a little slow, so you're going to eventually have to talk to the guy next to you, right? So I think he could, kind of keep my ear full for, however long we're out there.
Without being too loud and, scaring everyone, is there a guy that, man, I could not take out hunting because they're just too loud and they're gonna just scare everything away?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question because it's my roommate, Will Francis. He'd probably be on the phone the entire time. I've been in cars with him where he does not stop talking the entire time. And he'll get phone calls and he'll call random people and just start talking. It's unnecessary.
He won't talk to you. He'll call other people.
Yeah.
I think we asked before, you're a bow hunter, deer season. What else do you like to do?
Outside of hunting or hunting?
No, just hunting.
I like to grouse hunt. I think Duluth is really good grouse hunting. I mean, kind of everything, honestly. Duck hunting in Duluth is pretty difficult to do, so I think grouse and bow are probably what Duluth is kind of known for.
I mean, it's tough just in general to get out during hockey season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with school and hockey. I mean, we never really have time unless it's like a random Sunday or if we have a day off, so...
Yeah, great for attendance reasons at AMSOIL scheduling a road trip out to Colorado College, but not great for you guys if one of you want to... I'm trying to wonder if anyone's ever done that, snuck out to the deer stand before a game. Would that be possible?
Before a game? I don't think.
On game day, trying to get out there in the morning before a morning skate.
I think guys are pretty locked in on game days, okay. But definitely during the week, I think guys will sneak out, and Sundays for sure. Sundays are a big day.
If you did that on a game day, you better have a good game that night.
Exactly.
That's the trade-off, right?
Or, make sure the coaches don't know about it.
Yeah, no pictures if you bagged that deer that day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, coaches would be jealous that you got out and actually got out there hunting. Better gauge of a goaltender, save percentage or goals against average?
That's difficult. I think they tell two different stories. If a goalie has a high goals against average but a decent save percentage, that means he's obviously seen a lot of shots that night.
Team means he's probably playing in the BCHL. Or
yeah,
the
exactly.
North American League.
Personally, I think goals against average for me, just because if you can't kind of keep it under 2, you're gonna get a lot of wins that season.
Your goaltender wins kind of like quarterback wins and pitching wins. They're not a great barometer, right, of how good a goaltender played throughout a year.
I think obviously you get wins, then you're doing your job. So I think your stats will take care of themselves if you are winning the game.
That's interesting that you're taking the goals against it. Because scouts and stuff I'll talk to will always say, well, save percentage is how you gauge how a goaltender's really going. But you're going with the stats that tell the story of how the team's doing.
Yeah, I think under 2 goals against is you're giving your team a chance to win every night if you do that. So
any goaltender is going to tell me that they would rather win a game 6-5 than lose a game 1-0. But how happy are you after a 6-5 win? Yeah, obviously you're happy for the team, but individually that's frustrating, right?
It definitely is, right? But you're more than excited that you won the game. But you also gave up 5 goals and 5 goals again. So, I think all around, you just have to be happy you won. It's hard enough to win this league, and so you have to take the win.
Goalie's the only one going home that night after a 6-5 game. Everyone else in the arenas, that was a phenomenal hockey game. Right. And the 2 goalies are like, well, that was brutal. Who in the goalie room, past or present, would be best suited to win a political campaign?
Definitely Ben Pat. That guy is a businessman all the way.
That might happen too.
Yeah, no,
that could be a realistic future for him.
I think so Pat too. For Congress, Senator. What do you think? What should Ben Pat run for?
Probably Congress.
Congress.
Think. Yeah.
All right.
He's a man of the people.
I think
right?
so.
That's the House.
Yeah.
So.
You faced them in practice, so I got to ask. You guys go into a shootout in NCHC play. Who are the 3 shooters you think the coaches should throw out there first?
Ooh. All right. Jeez. You're going to have to give me a sec just to think about this. Ben Steeves. I don't know what it is about that guy's stick, but he can rip the puck. He's a small little guy, but he can shoot it. I think Dom James, obviously just all-around unreal player. Quinny's a good one. Quinny's a reliable one, I think, but I kind of want to do something kind of random because I know there's some D that are like sneaky. We'll have a couple shootouts during the week before games on the weekend, but D are sneaky. I think like Darian Goetz, like he scores actually a lot in our shootouts during the week. Like he'll just like go forehand 5-hole and it just kind of catches the goalies off guard. It's kind of fun.
What's the biggest faux pas? What's like the biggest blunder you see shooters try and do on a shootout? I feel like it's often guys try and get a little too cute to try and outsmart the goaltenders. But like, from your perspective, what is the one thing that guys do out there? Because it's in a breakaway during a game, guys don't have time to think. Right. They just go in on the goaltender. But shootouts, sometimes shooters outthink themselves. And I've watched you guys do the shootouts after practice. There's guys that often very much outthink themselves when they're trying to get by you guys.
Yeah, not in shootouts, but I think in games too. It's like if you get a shot on net, the goalie has to make a save, right? And I think a lot of times you see in shootouts or in games where guys just like pass up shots, and it's just like, if I was a shooter there, I'm going to shoot that off the goalie's pad, just get a rebound. Obviously, you're not going to do that in a breakaway, but I think guys, like what you said, they stick handle it to the corner or whatnot. When just doing something simple is just like we have to make the save. So
do you like shootouts? Is that situation fun for you?
Yeah, I actually really do enjoy shootouts. It's a fun way to end a game. If you ask me, you're kind of the hero of the zero at that point. So I enjoy the rush. It's fun.
It's kind of the goaltender's one opportunity in the course of a game. You can make a series of big saves and be the hero of the game that way too. But it's kind of like your one chance to like get a game-winning save, and end a game on your save.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a unique position for you guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like our, it would be like scoring a goal for us, right? Like you make the save and then game's over, like you celebrate, whatever. But We don't get that kind of chance in a game, I don't think, to really like go one-on-one and everybody's just like watching. But the shootout's a good opportunity for that.
Yeah, I was going to say it worked out well for Matty Rudy in 2018. Zach, I don't think this has ever happened in hockey, but if they ran through the entire roster of skaters in a shootout and it came time for a goalie to take a shot, who in your goalie room right now would you trust the most to take a shot?
I'm not putting any money on myself, to be honest. I think Thiessen's kind of got a rip. I think JR does too, though. But I think hands probably Thiessen.
Thiessen?
Yeah.
Who's got the best shot at who could score an empty netter?
Like down the ice?
Down the ice,
Oof.
yeah. I mean, Blake basically did it from where a goalie would have to try.
Yeah.
On Saturday there, but who's got the best shot of hitting that empty netter?
Yeah, I'd probably say Thies or JR again.
Yeah?
I mean,
you have no confidence in your own shooting, huh?
Jeez. I just don't want to turn the puck over in the slot and, tie up the game first.
Most people would say you need at least a 2-goal lead to even try it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you need 3? It seems like you want a cushion here just in case things go south.
Yeah, definitely need a cushion. Not doing it 1 goal, that's for sure. No, but it's fun at the end of the games when you have the opportunity. It's like, it's probably not going to happen. You're like, oh, if the puck's coming here, I'm going to try.
Is that like a hole-in-one for goalies?
Oh, 100%.
That same feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, you never, ever score in hockey, so it's like, it is a hole-in-one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so what is your threshold to go after that open net? I think we always ask goalies this to see what they are, and it's always interesting to hear everyone's comfort level.
I think you just have, I think the puck has to be behind the net and nobody out in front. Like,
okay, so
change it.
You'd have to be catching them in a line change.
Yeah, line
behind
change.
The net.
Like,
all right.
I'm trying to think. You have to get it so high up in the air to clear everybody at like such a short distance, right? Like, chances are the play's in the zone, 6-on-5. If we have a penalty, 6-on-4. So you really got to rip it. I don't know, honestly.
All right. We're going to end it there. Zach's going to be dwelling on that now. When can I get – I think Fanti last year gave us like 3 or something like that. He seemed more confident.
3-goal lead was
yeah,
his
I think that was his threshold.
Yeah.
Because he was considering if I miss this, how much is Scott Sandlin going to yell at me?
Yeah,
and am I going to get benched for
it's
doing
definitely 2 or 3. Like, you can't be doing that with 1
Depends
goal.
on how much time is left. And strange things have happened in hockey. So.
My sophomore year – the starting goalie at Grand Rapids at the time, we were playing Bemidji and we were up 4-3 or 3-2, 4-3, whatever. And with a minute of the game, puck goes behind the net. He picks it up, does the same thing, rips it through the neutral zone. Bemidji guy gloves it, tie game, going to overtime. So it's like, I don't know, maybe that scarred me at a young age. So yeah, definitely 2 or more.
All right, we got some Section 7 hockey talk into this week's podcast. There we go. We're going to close it out right there. Zach, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You can find Bulldog Insider Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and rate us. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit therinklive.com and DuluthNewsTribune.com. Bulldog men are at home against Omaha. Women head to St. Cloud. Zach, what's TV look like this weekend?
We got both the men's games this weekend, so pretty easy. Friday, Saturday, men against Omaha. Think I'm by myself again, so I apologize in advance for Friday. Judd should be back to help me out on Saturday, hopefully.
Lots of rambling by Zach on air.
Yep.
You should get Ben Pat to come do color with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he can, I don't know if his political campaign,
right,
the free media, maybe that would work out well for him.
Free publication. So. Yeah, Ben Pat in the booth. There we go. We're just giving Patter all sorts of extra jobs here after college. Big thanks to our sponsor, Essentia Health, for their continued support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you next week.